everyone. So, because I work from home, I don't really often have the luxury to vlog about anything exciting because my life is not that exciting. What has been exciting in my life is the fact that I'm taking care of myself. I'm back on the ketogenic diet. About 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I started it for the very first time, and I did about 6 months on it. I lost about 50 or 60 pounds. I was feeling great, looking great, and I fell off that wagon super hard. It's not like I totally hate myself and I feel like my self-worth is wrapped around whether or not I'm skinny. That's definitely not how it is, and I will go into an in-depth conversation later. But over the last couple of weeks since I've been back on track, I've been losing weight, but more importantly, I've been feeling amazing. So I plan to continue this trend. I am dedicating myself to not falling off this wagon and reaching my goals, because it's just a complete 180 when you are, doing something that makes you feel good. Keto maybe not be for everyone, but it is definitely the thing that works for me, that keeps me on track and not eating like garbage. So that being said, I get a lot of people in my life asking me, what do you eat? What do you do? Give me tips on keto, blah, blah, blah. So I don't really have time for a tips video today because I'm actually working a pretty long day. So I'm really just meal prepping between my breaks and at the end of my shift at 7 o'clock. I'm just gonna kind of go over with you what I'm meal prepping this week. Now, I'm not one of those people that meal preps and does individual little containers and individual little bags and stuff, because that's just too much for me. So instead, I just kind of prep everything in one big dish or something like that. That way I can eat off of it through the week. I'm not feeling rushed. Even though I do work from home, the last thing I want to do when I get out of work is cook, or even worse than that, clean up after I cook. I'd rather just spend an hour or so getting it all done. And I don't do this every week, but this week I really wanted to, because I'm kind of on a tight budget and kind of wanting to make sure that everything is made ahead of time and proportioned right and all of that stuff. The first thing I do whenever I meal prep is I kind of make a plan, because to me, if I know kind of what steps I have to take, what I need to shred, what I need to cut, if I know all of that, sometimes it saves a lot. Like 2 of my recipes this week have the same base ingredients of ground beef and cauliflower. So instead of cooking them individually, I'm just gonna make all of that ground beef and cauliflower together and then cut it up. On my to-do list, boil a dozen of eggs. I will use those eggs for just snacking on them. Like I'll put everything bagel seasoning on them, or I will even make little deviled eggs as a little snack to myself. So I definitely I can eat a dozen boiled eggs in a week for sure. I'm gonna make breakfast cups, which are kind of like little muffins, but they're just eggs with toppings in them. I'm gonna make this hamburger casserole that looks incredible. My house is a Catherine Michelle house, and she posted this video either today or yesterday. I saw it this morning, and I said, that completely changes what I'm eating for the week. It looks so good. So I'm gonna try that out. I'll give credit where credit is due and link her video in the comments. Then, because I'm already doing the beef and cauliflower, I thought, wow, I wanna do a taco casserole that I do often. So we're gonna make that. As needed, I just have frozen veggies I can just throw in the microwave real quick. I've got, cheese, pickles, things I can snack on. So outside of that, if I make those big meals and an easy breakfast to grab, I'm good to go. So join me on that. So I'm going to poke with a thumbtack some holes in the shell, because that's going to make these eggs easier to peel. And you want to put them on the wider end just so they don't break. It's a little easier. And you want to make sure that you have your water at a rolling boil. Add your eggs, cover them with the lid, and boil for exactly 30 seconds. When that's done, you're going to go ahead and turn it all the way down to the lowest setting on your stove, usually low, maybe 1, however it's set up, and then set the timer again for 14 minutes exactly. Now, once that timer's up, you're gonna gently take the eggs out of the boiling water and put them in an ice bath. And this is gonna stop them from cooking, so they're kind of perfectly cooked when you open them. They're not green. And then once that's chilled in the ice bath for a little bit, it'll be a perfectly peelable, yellowy, beautiful boiled egg. All right, now that that is done, I'm gonna move on to making my breakfast for the week. All right, and now I'm just gonna crack a dozen eggs into this container, and that's gonna make me 2 muffin tins. I had some eggs left over, so I put the rest of the ingredients and the rest of those eggs into a loaf pan rather than the muffin tins. But I'm sure you all know how to crack an egg, so I don't really have to explain that. All right, so now I'm gonna start chopping up the ingredients for my fillings. And I decided midway through that an onion would be a good idea. But this is just regular Polish sausage, kielbasa, and it's already pre-cooked, but I just want to cook these things together to get a little bit of a better texture than it would if it just sat in the oven in some eggs. So I'm prepping that. And I'm gonna throw all of that into a bowl so I can cook it later and pause for a little bit of a snack because I was getting hungry doing all of that. And I hate cutting onions. Like, it's the worst. But whenever I end up putting onions in something that I make, it ends up tasting much better. So the effort is worth the reward. Here I am shredding a ton of cheese, and honestly, if you really love me for my birthday, you'll get me a food processor with a grater attachment because I'm tired of doing this. All right, so I've got the onions sauteing, looking gorgeous. I added the kielbasa once it got a little translucent. And if you follow me on Instagram, you know I put Tony's in everything. So when I work on the eggs, I'm gonna throw some in there. I added a little bit of half and half that I didn't show you, but I'm just gonna beat these until they're really well blended and foamy at the top, because that's gonna give it the volume that it needs in the oven to kind of make it more like a souffle than a bunch of dense eggs. And I'm gonna spray the inside of all these muffin tins really well so they don't stick. I like using this 100% avocado oil because we're about all these good fats. And I'm gonna fill it with the kielbasa onion mixture just to cover the bottom. I don't want a whole lot in there. And then of course you're gonna fill the cups with eggs on top of that. And you wanna be careful not to overfill it because they are gonna come out of the oven really voluminous, almost like you were cooking real muffins. And just to make sure it's incorporated, I stir it because I really don't want everything kind of sitting at the bottom and kind of getting crispy, so I just do that little step. And top with a little bit of cheese. Everybody who knows me knows that's my thing. So they're looking beautiful, awesome. And I'm gonna throw them in the oven for about 15-20 minutes at 375 degrees, and they should come out looking beautiful like that. And as I mentioned earlier, I had some leftovers, so I just made a little loaf pan full for me and Brandy to share. Okay, now it's time for our dinner prep, and I'm gonna make 2 different meals out of all of these ingredients. And I'm gonna first cook all of that beef, all 3 pounds, and you know me, some Tony's. And once I've gotten that cooked and drained, I'm gonna add both bags of the diced cauliflower, rice cauliflower, whatever we're calling it. And I took half of that mixture and set them aside in the pans I plan to cook them in later so I can make the other recipe. But this recipe is the one I was talking about that Catherine Michelle put on her channel, and I am going to link that below, so I'm not going to go through all those steps because I do want you to support my girl and watch her channel too. But let me tell you, this came out super yummy. It's super easy to put together. And then this is the more kind of like a taco chili style thing that I put together. I put lots of sazon, garlic powder, a can of tomato paste, a can of drained diced tomatoes. Yum, yum, yum. And I topped that with some cheese. I'm pretty sure I threw like chili and cumin and other stuff in there to make it taste more like a taco situation. All right, so both of those are done. They're super tasty. I've eaten on them all week now. This is a little bit late. Thank you so much for stopping by today. If you feel so inclined, hit that like button and subscribe. I like making new friends.